Hello and welcome to the latest episode of Enterprise in Minds. The whole crew is here. Yay! Episode 81, guys. We are slowly marching to 100. So by the time we get there, figure out what you want to do for episode 100, because it'll probably take us a while to figure out something. But on today's episode, I have a particular use case that I've found interesting and is related to some of the things that we've talked about previously. And I don't know if you want to start off with this one, Alex, but this one definitely caught my attention. Copilot and why it sucks. I'm going to let you explain yourself a little more, but that's the hook.
Yeah. Just a kind of quick thing on Copilot is Copilot's, if you are a Microsoft-based company, using different Microsoft products, 65, the rest, you probably, or at least your IT has decided that Copilot is the best thing for you. It has a lot of limitations to it that are built in, mostly around trying to keep things data secure, which is great.
Yeah.
And Microsoft revenue, which sucks. And that's the part that's frustrating to me. The big thing is basically it's how they do their licensing. So there is a free version, a Copilot chat, basically, and then there's Copilot. Yes, that's the lovely naming difference, Copilot chat versus Copilot. I'll call it Copilot Premium because it makes more sense if you call it something like that.
Right.
Premium has a lot more capabilities to it, including file creation. If you want to make a PowerPoint look, Premium really is kind of the way to go. If you want to do just a chatbot thing, Copilot Chat is just fine. If your organization has a mix of the two, it can be frustrating real fast.
Right.
The Premium also allows you to create agents. There's a thing called Copilot Studio. In it, I'll access to another kind of older system called Power Automate. I'm familiar with that one, but that allows you to build your own agents, and then you can share it through Team, through just 365 in general. And people, even with the chat version, can use your agents. But it still has a lot of limitations built into it. So the frustrating thing really is, do you want a system that knows all of your data, your chats, your emails, the files, the SharePoint files that everyone created? It can tell you, it's been going for the last week that you promised. That is built in with 365, and now you've got this Copilot AI system that allows you to access all that data. That's really cool. Limitation is outside systems like Claude, Gemini, ChatGPT for $20 a month can create files, PowerPoint files, decks, financial data, name it, quickly, cleanly, and eventually it builds up a memory about you, how you do things, instructions, everything. File types, design, brand guidelines, all that kind of good stuff.
Right.
And then it produces stuff really well. So then you're like, well, do I want to use this system that has limitations to it, but has access to all my data, which is cool? Or do I want to use this outside personal assistant system? And I think that's a really frustrating model to be stuck in. Because for $20 a month, you can get something that can create files, or for more, for license for Copilot, then you can finally file creation. But still, it's a little messy. It still has a lot of limitations to it, which is frustrating because it can run Opus behind the scenes, but it then puts soft environment limitations on top of Opus. That part, I think, is the part that probably frustrates me, is that I know it's running a model that's so much more, but because of pricing.
Yep. Yeah, I think for me, the Microsoft, you can tell, is coming from the incumbent enterprise license spot.
Oh, yeah.
And we talked about this in a previous episode where, when they initially launched Copilot, it was Copilot for Excel and Copilot for
Right.
PowerPoint and they didn't talk to one another. And that was the biggest miss, I think, because then, everybody was doing AI for my thing. And you could just see the project managers or the product managers sitting in meetings with each other, and their bosses saying, yeah, we have AI for what I'm doing. But it's like, you're right, but you guys are part of an ecosystem that everybody uses, right? Um, that's been the biggest frustration for me because that expectation of, oh, hey, I have Copilot and I'm seeing it in Teams. Great. Let me go ask it a question about my calendar. It's like, well, I can't see your calendar. Well, then what are you here for? You know,
That's the data limitations right there.
yeah,
And again,
summarize
how,
my emails
yeah,
on this particular topic. Well, I can't see your emails. What do I need you for then? Like, stop it. Like, don't even show up. Don't even put the little icon there if I don't have it, you know? Like, don't even tease me. Like,
well, that
yeah,
is,
I think it's totally there. And I've been experiencing that a lot in talking to my friends that are on the corporate side and then my friends who are on like agency side or like individual contractor kind of sides, right? Like what people are doing with self-employment, with, their own agencies, with, whatever else. There's so much more run room, whereas, oh, I'm stacking agents on top of each other and I have my own like operating system now. And you're like, that's amazing. I don't know that I would
yeah.
trust it to the extent that you're doing, but that's cool that you've been able to like really systematize stuff like that. But in order to operate in the same way on the enterprise side, just the amount of, okay, I have this amount of context limit per thing. Okay, my master prompt is actually beyond what the context limit is. So I have to then tell it, okay, here's the part one of my master prompt. Here's part two of the entire prompt. Okay, now I'm going to give you a portion of the context I need you to understand in order to do the da 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 da. Da. So now I'm sitting there uploading 5 different things. And then I hope to God it has enough context window to remember the 5 things that I've uploaded to then do the task that I need. And meanwhile, I'm doing that thinking, if I was just on my personal computer, I could have Cowork do all of this for me like nothing, and there's totally that divide of the people who have started working this way. And then there's the kind of IT departments that are pushing a lot of these things out where it's like, cool, I see what you're doing with your prompt library, but that was 2.5 years ago. Congratulations. We've hit 2.5 years ago. And
I
then
know.
um you know, than people who are flatly refusing to even touch it unless it's help me write this email I don't want to write right now. Yeah.
Yeah, the difference I think is, yeah, I think you really hit it there too, especially with the co-work. Once it starts to do tasks for you,
Hmm.
not just write things in chat, write, the email that you're going to copy and paste yourself, but when it actually opens up Outlook, email, or Gmail or whatever system, and then sends it on your behalf, that's a whole
Hmm.
different era. Now you're talking like, multiple users of a laptop or multiple laptops in use or however your setup
Yeah.
is. But now you're talking like the product change there is phenomenally large. I mean, that is a breakthrough once people get to that level.
Hmm.
Also, routine things like having built in scheduled events or whatever you use kind of has a different name for it.
Right.
But, every Monday, pull a list of all the different outstanding items that I have from inboxes or chats together or meeting notes from the last 2 weeks and give me a list. Like you could have that
Hmm.
delivered to you every single day at the start of every day if you wanted, and
Yep.
have it understand when things are checked off and done. I mean, or pull in all the open tickets if you have a ticketing based system from whatever platform it is and show me the urgent ones, up to date ones behind, you know things that I've asked other people that I should follow up on. All that kind of stuff is completely possible to basically offload, which is
Yep.
great to offload. Uh, yeah, yeah, it is. It is. Speaking of, non-enterprise level, the ability to do things and move very quickly
Hmm.
hasn't always been such a big deal, but I think with it is starting to become a bigger and bigger. Instead of, yeah, a small business could totally, you know, switch at the last minute, buy a ticket to sales, and then suddenly be at a trade show that we would spend 6 planning for. Yes, absolutely, that is a difference, but we're still both at the trade show. It still
Right.
both happens. This, though, this is enough of a difference, I think, that it's really eating away at those large kind of companies that are just that slow to change.
Right. Yeah, I came up with a use case recently where it was, well, like most innovations, it came out of just pure hatred. Um, and I love filling out templates. Hate it. Such a waste of my time. As soon as somebody gives me like, hey, here's a 14-page
Loathe. I
template.
thought you said love.
No, no. Loathe.
Yeah,
Um,
I got you.
like the whole time I'm doing it, I'm like, this is a colossal waste of my time. And it's like when Yosemite Sam is mumbling to himself when he's mad at Bugs Bunny, right? And essentially that's my workday. Um, and I realized that okay, I just sat through this meeting talking about process A that we have to do constantly. Then I sat through a training for process B, which is an annual thing, but there's some time pressure because in order for you know vendors and third parties we work with, they need to have the information by a certain time for planning. Okay. Then there's this
Mhm.
third process that ends up using the same information that goes against all of these things. I'm like, why don't we just have a kickoff meeting where we collect all the information for all of these things and have three outputs from a Claude, from a ChatGPT, from whatever, and then it's just done, you know? Then we don't have to do this scramble stuff every year or, every half year or whatever. Like, I don't I don't want to jump when you say, "Hey, fill out this template because it's due in 2 weeks." Nah, I got my own thing going. I don't need to.
Yeah, unnecessary little tasks.
Yeah, but it was interesting because it hit me, that hey, okay, these are all really important things, right? I mean, these are business critical activities. However, they're taking up three different departments worth of time to do these things. That now that I know what's possible with a GPT, with an anti-gravity, with a Claude, it seems like such a colossal waste. And it's one of those, like, I don't know about you, but when we talked about, going from treating it as a chat bot to then going into the agentic side of things, I don't know about you, but in my experience, it's taken me a while to make that leap and not just treat the agent as if it were a more capable chatbot, right? But to actually sit and go, okay, I should actually map out this project. And then you have to add different sections to make the agent work better, right? Than just the chat
Mhm.
because you're less involved. Did you experience that? Like, was there some cognitive dissonance where you're just like, man, I don't know about this agent stuff? Or were you
It
just straight
was
into it because you're brilliant?
no. It took a minute, definitely. There was a really good interview of Ethan Mollick a while ago, and I was doing this. Maybe it's the Minnesota Nice thing. But his conversation helped me kind of break through it. Was
Mm,
instead of asking for, give me two examples or one example or three, ask for 15. I
right,
need a new subject line for this email. Give me 20 ideas.
right.
That would be something I would never ask of a human being because that seems like an inordinate waste of their time or
Right.
just an unreasonable ask. But this is a piece of software. And that's the thing. It's like the more that you can think of it as this is yet another application that's on my laptop. This is yet another application on my phone. It's
Right.
just an app. And I think anytime we start to personalize it too much, um, my wife caught me once when I said Claude as a he, because I always say it. I don't
Mhm.
he. Like she caught me once. Oh, you just said he with that. I was like, what? I was like, no, are you kidding me? Like, I would never, because that's the thing is like once you start seeing a piece of software as an individual, which I mean, if you find on, especially on Reddit, there's some people who absolutely love odds. I mean,
Mhm.
they're best friends.
Mhm.
Um, then there's a mental shift there. And if you just see a piece of software that's just running, like I run crawler, like today I wanted to access and test 36 URLs, and it's going to run. I mean, it's just that's would I ever manually test 36,000 URLs? Goodness, no. But
No,
it's
that
a
would be
piece
your
of
entire
software,
year.
so I absolutely will. Yeah, exactly. I'd spend my next week opening tabs, like no, just to see URL patterns that may or may not fail and exist. Like, no, not going to do that. Um,
Mhm.
so that mental break helped. The sticking point for me when I with the agentic side was basically is on control, which I even asked like, am I giving you too much control? And suggested ways to break, and then it just broke systems by breaking it. Um, that was a little strange, especially when you see the thing pop up, like your Gmail calendar, and then 2 seconds later it pops up in a new event and it starts,
Mhm.
working on it. Like any kind of whenever I've run software in the past that does any kind of computer control is just it's creepy watching it just move
Right.
your mouse around. And suddenly there's this like ghost moving your mouse and clicking things and stuff. And it's like it still has to use the mouse and it still has to click things. So you still get that you get to watch it.
Right.
That part I definitely I had concerns about. I wasn't like a lot of people with like open claw. Yeah, here's my
Oh,
bank
yeah.
account. Come up
No.
with an investment and invest my money, and here you go. It's an AI. I didn't do that. It has a lot of security concerns, and those are enough to kind of to stop. But
Yeah. Do you remember
give it
when
access
the
to some
internet
things.
first happened and everybody was scared to put their credit cards online? You
Yeah,
know, yeah, I still remember that. Where it's like, no, somebody's going to steal it, and guess what? They have multiple times. Over
yeah. The encryption's gotten a lot better over time. And that was kind of the I think the lesson from it is just like you got to hold off with some of this to understand
right,
the different angles where it can be positive and negative, and also judge, for yourself of where's
right,
that level of like security that you need to feel. And I know people that still have, concerns about the way that some credit cards are built, especially like, you know, stripes versus the chips and stuff like that.
right,
Some of the ways that you
right,
can spoof those things, which valid to some degree. So you have to kind of figure out like, what's your level of convenience you're willing to give up,
right.
security versus convenience.
I know for me, the to your point, the seeing the computer just do stuff. I
Yeah.
having my experiments with that have been largely through the Gemini via Chrome, that little browser extension piece, and it's specifically for individual tasks. So perfect
Hmm.
example, right? Like when we launched enterprisingminds.com, I had to change all of the bit.ly links in all of the episode descriptions for how I
Yeah,
think it
that's
was
fun.
like 69 episodes at the time or something like that. Like, so I mean, it was a lot because there's an audio version, a
Yeah,
video version, yada yada.
sure.
So I went ahead and I'm like, all right, let me try this Gemini for Chrome thing. And I said, hey, here's my YouTube channel. Here's here's the text that you should be looking for. Here's what you should change it to. Go. And then I jumped on a meeting, for the day job and just sort of, out of the corner of my eye, looked over and it was, pop, 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 pop. And it went through all 69 or
Nice.
whatever, it took about 4 hours, and I had to tell it to do, okay, next batch, next batch. Like it had its own limitations, which I was kind of nice to see. Like, yeah, hey, we've reached the limit of the number of actions I'm allowed to do. Okay, that's good to know. So I actually like kept
Yeah.
track of it. Um, to say like, okay, it actually took like 4 hours to do this, but honestly, it probably would have taken me that amount of time to go line by line by line. So it wasn't like unbelievably quick, but the fact that I could just set it up and let it go and then come back and say, yep, that's done. That has been great, you know? Um,
Yeah.
or
Good use of
even
it.
like the spreadsheet formatting, right? Like, hey, this spreadsheet's set up for me to track stuff, not for, like Airtable to talk to YouTube, to talk to, all these other things. Format it so that robots will actually understand what it is. And like it just does it all. And that's been great too, because what a colossal waste of my time to reformat a sheet with data that already has data in it, you know? But I mean, that was
Yeah.
a large part of work for a long time. Like,
Yeah. And you're seeing that change.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So you have this other interesting idea that we've talked about a little bit prior.
Hmm.
Um, but AI for volunteering.
I have a
What are
practical
you,
example.
fantastic. What are you thinking with that? Help me understand that.
So, yeah, I've been on this kind of bend for a long time of these tools are so cool.
Hmm.
What is the best way to use them to kind of help humanity? And the tools sometimes a little struggle a little bit, especially if you got a long history with them of getting outside of your own world, but also greater global world. Like, how are these things going to be useful? Like, can I get this discover cures for new diseases? Tell it to, or can it do? Um,
Right.
and Gemini, ChatGPT, and Claude try this. I think at least twice in the past, where all of them kind of did like the AI council thing, where you same prompt for all of them and see what, and kind of critique them, have them
Right.
critique each other's outputs and stuff.
Right.
Um, it limitations there, but the systems are getting a lot better. So I wanted again, and I was thinking about I used to do some volunteer work through the thing called Universe. So think of like universe except ZOO at the beginning of it. And what it is citizen scientist programs. So NASA has a ton of them.
Hmm.
NOAA has a ton of them, which is the National Organization Aeronautical
Oceanic.
Air.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Or you're right. It's something else, but it's weather-based kind of data. So they're asking people from certain areas to take photos of clouds or rainfall. Or with the NASA projects, it's a lot of telemetry and telescope kind of data that's coming back. There's tons of it. And
Right.
while they can use some basic machine learning to kind of delete some stuff, there's still a ton of stuff out there that still has to be labeled and identified. You might watch a short GIF and you left if there's nothing, swipe right if you think there's a, which might be a
Mm,
brand new planet, and you can add your name on it, which is pretty cool as a
that is
measure,
cool.
not discover, but public
Right.
thing out there. And there's been papers written with all these citizens volunteers being listed in the papers too. So it's a really cool, like literally on your phone, swipe left or swipe right, or could be in a scientific paper someday.
Interesting.
So yeah, so I came across it again, kind of through a different way. But I kept thinking, I was like, okay, how a little difficult because it's a GIF that you're swiping left and right. There is a desktop version that actually even more tasks, more complex tasks that it gives you. A little difference between the two systems.
Hmm.
But how do I get Claude to do this? Like, there's co-work now. The last time I ran these tests, co-work wasn't a thing.
Right.
Um, but what I got into was transcribing and digitization of files. So last night I helped digitize the JFK assassination report, the Warren report. So I digitized Jack Ruby's, who is the guy who killed Lee Harvey Oswald, who was the assassin.
Right.
Um, his bar receipts, the stuff that they found on him. I typed up all that stuff using screenshots that I then sent to Claude, which then I verified and then used as the transcript and was able to describe those random documents and things. He got a parking citation, which I wrote up. I also did an 1880s ship manifest. That was one that hadn't updated yet. There's a lot of World War II and Royal Navy vessel reports.
Hmm.
How many people there, what rank, their names. There's a lot of people that are also kind of named in things because there has been no digitization of their records. So
Right.
records, there's a ton. Revolutionary War records, a ton. There's a bunch of nurses reports that say people's names never known to be in the war who died. Somebody's historic potential grant, things like that. So a ton of
So it's
programs
your
out there
fault that
for
I've
transcribing.
been getting pinged by Ancestry for, you know, new information on my triple
New
great
information was
grandfather.
found. We know something. Turns out he lived to a ripe old age, and he was a bastard.
There's a surprising a lot of those in my family. That's really cool.
Yeah,
That's
just
interesting.
it was cool. And there's other programs as well. A lot of the citizen scientist kind of stuff is there was some sort of like ML, sort of this stuff too. There was some kind of like machine learning system that was run on, but it was an outdated, not great one. Um, National Archives used to use one from Amazon, but it's a pretty old at this point system that missed a lot, and it struggled with like 1880s cursive,
Interesting.
which new
Yeah.
systems can totally handle. Um, so yeah, it was fun. I mean, it was literally in half an hour. I started transcribing old documents to help with the digitization of the assassination report. That was a big deal. The Warren report has a whole name to it. But,
Right.
and there's pieces no one's ever typed up. Yeah, so fun.
Hmm.
Um,
Now you're going to be in the
especially
whole
with
conspiracy world by actually handling the his ticket and
no. It was kind of cool though, just because I mean, like the manifest, or in the World War stuff,
Mhm.
like it's of like some of these also are diary entries from people from World War One,
Right.
or the Civil War, and you're typing up their diary notes. Actually, just kind of cool reading to begin with to offer something in return to it. Kind of
Right.
a cool experience.
Hmm.
So think once we see these AI tools also become more available and also like ability this to become more known, not just the techie elite, I would kind of set aside, but for
Right.
everybody else as well to be using these tools on a frequent basis and just think of, Microsoft Word as, yeah, I can do spell check. This I can also use to transcribe. Once it
Hmm.
becomes like that kind of mentality, I think it's going to be really cool because there's a lot of philanthropic abilities with these tools that could be helpful. So that was fun. It was a fun little random evening.
Yeah, it's an interesting play too, because so much of what we see about AI is just be more productive, make more money. Well,
I know, and
that's
that's
just part of it.
yeah, like my like fitness or even the book writing thing, which is it's got a little bit more to it. But
Hmm.
like other random my plant watering schedule, I have so hard on Reddit and all these other places for things like AI in personal life ideas,
Right.
concepts, people just putting down kind of the random stuff that they've tried and stuff like that. There is next to nothing out there that I can find. So many people are so hardcore into creating campaigns,
Yeah.
blog posts, you name it, that like the AI for fun. Like
Right.
there's a whole lot of you can do with this stuff. Like doesn't
And
seem to
it's
have hit that level yet.
it's hilarious. Like you and I have talked about, creative writing, but um,
Yeah.
I kid you not, since AI has gotten to where it is this year, I have four friends who are working on novels. Four.
Yep. Yep.
And the funny thing is I was the only one with a creative writing degree. So I'm like, all right, hey, I gotta get in on this.
What are you hacks doing? You know,
You
I
know.
started taking a class, online class recently, writing fiction books,
Hmm.
and it's been really good because I started critiquing my own writing that I've been doing with Claude as an editor,
Right.
and realizing, you know, some of the things that the professors were saying on the in the class were like, yeah, this is a sign of an amateur. I'm like, oh, yeah, yeah, that's like my
Hmm.
entire book. Yeah, 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 I'm there. Um, which was funny too because Claude didn't know it. I've asked Claude a number of times, like, you know, judge my writing against
Right.
professionals, like, you know, all these other kind of things. And there is, the funny thing is, AI really trained on really crappy novels. Like that's a huge part still data set.
Hmm.
So its bar, I think, is really, really low.
Right.
So
Right.
it wasn't real helpful. I realized for some of these elements of like fiction writing, which, you know, setting the scene better, descriptive, which I wasn't, like, you know, things like that.
Right. Well, and that's part of the a reoccurring theme that we can explore uh in the next episode, which is the need for friction. I think I'm hearing more and more and more conversation around like if you don't go through the process yourself, you're not going to
Yeah,
be good enough to know what the output, is. So like what do you want to be
which
good
is
at?
good.
And
Yeah,
then leverage,
100%.
leverage the AI for that, right? So in my case with the creative writing, I had written over 20,000 words for my undergraduate capstone. So it was about 8 chapters of,
Sure.
something. And I started reading through it and I'm just like, whoa. Now, granted, that was years ago. Um, but the interesting thing was leveraging all the different AIs to your point, using the council idea of saying,
Right.
hey, I've heard this idea of how like James Patterson does his books, and he
Sure.
does like 70 or 80 page outlines of like this
Wow.
chapter needs to do this. These are the characters involved. It moves the story forward in
Wow.
this way. Right. And so
Wow.
there's a
Okay.
very specific name for what it's called. I will give it to you after we are done recording later. Um, but I uploaded that um,
Yeah.
outline idea, and then I uploaded the original writing, and then I said create an outline in this style for me so that I can see the beats and what are the main themes and
Yeah.
whatever else. And
Yeah.
then I started having conversations around the characters, and then like um, it's like okay, this is cool. I like this direction. I don't like that, but it doesn't seem like anything's at stake. What is this book even about? Right? Because it's not like Godzilla's not coming and destroying the city. There's not a super secret spy. There's nothing
Sure.
like
Sure.
immensely at stake in it. So what is it? And so it took a while to go back and forth on this book is about X. And each character does this in service of that, and the conflict is actually the fact that they're operating under their own ideas of what's correct, and that's what screws it up for everybody. Right.
Hmm.
And so mapping that out, and then to your point, I was an early writer, so it's very dialogue heavy. So then the other day I sat
Right.
outside because it was a super nice day while, the neighborhood boys were playing basketball on my driveway. And I just started writing scene work for, this is the town, this is the type of town, these are things that make it
Sure.
interesting, right? And just and
Sure.
running through it. Is it done? Is it perfect? Is it whatever? No. It's a page and a half about a town. It's just to get the ideas out and fill it and feel it out. And
Yeah.
it's handwritten, right? Because
Yeah.
I want that friction to actually play with the idea and build it out and do that. But it's been really interesting to talk to you and my other friends about writing, and I honestly think it is only possible because we now have time to think or explore on those ideas, as opposed to what we had before. So yeah. So Ruthie, I know you had to go deal with some stuff, like some urgent things, so we didn't really hear your voice today. Do you want to do any? comments in the next minute and a half, other than saying hello.
Hi, thanks for having the conversation in my stead today. And it sounded like it was a real good one, so I'm going to go back and listen. And the only thing I will add to this on Alex's point about, using it for fun or personal things, is just that last week I had Claude help me expand a Mary Berry recipe for a pesto pasta. I said I wanted to add chicken to it. Please create the recipe in a way that Mary Berry would create the recipe, and it did a lovely job.
Oh, that's cool.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, speaking of fun things, I think I sent this to you via text, but it is hands down my favorite thing to do now for really dry corporate reading. Tell the AI of your choice to take whatever thing it is, but do it in the style of a Little John song. Oh my God, it makes financial documents way better.
I am so glad you shared that, because like some days you just need a little pep in your step, and you got to get through emails, and that's a much better way to do it.
Yeah, I love in the one instance that we had, I love the fact that it was like, we got corporate compliance in the house. Like, they never get a shout. That team never gets a shout.
We're excited, at least.
Oh,
angry shouting, never happy shouting.
Yeah. So on that note, go have fun, go do something silly with it, see what happens. And for anybody in the States, have a happy 4th. Hopefully you had some time off with family and friends and got away from stuff for a while. With that, take care, like, share, subscribe. It helps. Enterprising Minds, Pathways, all that stuff, all that good stuff. And we'll see you in the next episode. Take care.
Cheers.